The average UK household is now £8,300 poorer than they were just 3 years ago, and most people don't even realise they're already living through an economic collapse. What's happening right now in Britain isn't just another recession, it's a carefully orchestrated financial disaster that's about to get much worse, and the government knows exactly what they're doing. You're watching Economy Reporter, where we break down the real economic news affecting your wallet. If you want to stay ahead of the financial storms heading our way, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe with notifications on. We're your source for uncensored UK economic truth, bringing you the stories mainstream media won't touch. With everything that's about to unfold in the coming months, you'll want to stay informed about what's really happening to your money. Right now, millions of British families are being gaslit about the true state of inflation. The Office for National Statistics claims inflation is under control at around 4%. But walk into any supermarket and you'll see the truth. Your weekly shop has doubled in price since 2021. Energy companies are posting record profits while the average household energy bill has increased by 94% in just 2 years. They're playing a dangerous game with the numbers, excluding the very items that matter most to working families. Food staples like bread, milk and eggs have seen price increases of over 30% this year alone, yet somehow this doesn't seem to register in their carefully manipulated statistics. But here's where it gets really sinister. The Bank of England is deliberately keeping this information from reaching the public because they need to maintain the illusion of control. Internal documents leaked last month revealed they're tracking a real inflation index that shows the actual cost of living has increased by 47% since 2020. They know exactly how bad things are, but admitting it would cause panic in the markets. Meanwhile, wage growth is crawling along at just 5.7%, meaning every single month British workers are getting poorer in real terms. The interest rate situation is even more devastating than most people realise. 2 million homeowners are about to discover they're mortgage prisoners, trapped in loans they can't afford and properties they can't sell. The Bank of England keeps promising rate cuts are coming, but behind closed doors, they're admitting rates will need to stay elevated for at least another 18 months. Why? Because the moment they cut rates significantly, the pound will collapse and imported inflation will skyrocket even further. What nobody's telling you is that banks have been preparing for this for months. They've quietly been increasing their provisions for bad debts by 340% compared to pre-2020 levels. They know what's coming, a wave of defaults that will make 2008 look like a minor inconvenience. The 5-year swap rates that determine mortgage pricing have barely moved despite all the talk of future cuts, meaning banks are betting on prolonged economic pain. And while families are struggling to make payments, these same banks reported combined profits of £41 billion last year, the highest in UK banking history. The employment figures are perhaps the biggest lie of all. Officially, unemployment sits at just 4.2%, but this masks a horrifying reality. Over 2.8 million people are now working 0-hour contracts with no security, no benefits, and no future. Another 1.4 million have simply given up looking for work and aren't counted in any statistics. The gig economy has become a trap where people work 60-hour weeks across multiple apps just to earn minimum wage. Young people are facing the worst employment crisis in generations, with graduate unemployment hitting 18%, the highest since records began. And the automation wave that's already started will eliminate another 3 million jobs by 2027. Major corporations are accelerating their AI adoption plans, with banks alone planning to cut 114,000 positions in the next 2 years. Customer service, data entry, even junior legal and accounting roles, they're all being replaced at a pace nobody anticipated. The government's retraining programs are a joke, offering courses in skills that will themselves be automated within 5 years. This isn't speculation anymore. Companies are openly discussing these plans in their investor calls. The property market is experiencing a slow-motion crash that's being deliberately hidden from public view. Estate agents are reporting that properties are taking an average of 127 days to sell, up from 31 days in 2021. But that's only counting properties that actually sell. Thousands more are being quietly withdrawn after sitting on the market for 6 months or more. Forced sales and repossessions have increased by 87% year on year, but these figures are buried in technical reports that never make headlines. The buy-to-let exodus is creating a rental catastrophe that's about to explode. Over 400,000 rental properties have been sold off in the past 18 months as landlords flee the market. This is pushing rents to insane levels. The average UK rent has increased by 12% this year alone, with some areas seeing 30% jumps. First-time buyers are completely locked out, needing an average deposit of £62,000 just to get on the ladder. The government's Help to Buy schemes are nothing more than debt traps, loading young people with loans they'll never be able to repay. Meanwhile, foreign investment firms are quietly buying up entire neighbourhoods, turning Britain into a nation of permanent renters. But wait until you hear what the latest budget really means for your finances. Behind all the political spin, this is the most aggressive tax grab in modern British history. The national insurance increase isn't just hitting your paycheck. It's going to trigger a wave of small business failures. Industry insiders are predicting 200,000 small businesses will close their doors by summer 2025. The stealth taxes are even worse. Frozen tax bans mean 3.2 million people will be dragged into higher tax brackets through inflation alone. The pension changes they've snuck through are absolutely terrifying. They're essentially forcing pension funds to invest in British infrastructure projects, which is code for throwing your retirement savings at failing government vanity projects. The lifetime allowance changes look generous on paper, but they're designed to trap wealth that can then be raided through future tax changes. Public services are collapsing despite this record tax take. The NHS waiting list has hit 7.8 million. Schools are literally falling apart, and local councils are going bankrupt at a rate of 3 per month. Where is all this money going? Into servicing a national debt that's spiralling completely out of control. The international situation is about to make everything exponentially worse. Trump's new trade policies will hit Britain like a sledgehammer. We're talking about potential tariffs of 20% on UK exports to America, our second largest trading partner. The Brexit delusions are finally crashing into reality as our trade with Europe continues to collapse, down 15% this year alone. We're isolated, weakened, and about to be picked apart by larger economic powers. Global recession indicators are flashing red across the board. The bond yield curve inversions, commodity price collapses, shipping rates plummeting. Every single metric that predicted previous crashes is screaming danger right now. China's property market implosion will send shockwaves through the global financial system, and Britain's exposure through our banking sector is massive. The euro is on the brink of a crisis that will make Greece look like a minor hiccup. When this domino effect begins, probably triggered by a major bank failure in Germany or Italy, the UK will be caught in the tsunami with no lifeboats. Here's the timeline nobody wants to admit. By March 2025, we'll see the first wave of mortgage defaults hit the news. By summer, unemployment will spike as companies implement their planned layoffs. By autumn, the property market will be in full crash mode, with prices dropping 20 to 30% in some areas. And by this time next year, Britain will be in the deepest recession since the 1930s. The middle class is about to be systematically destroyed, with only the very wealthy and those with nothing left to lose surviving relatively unscathed. The young, the indebted, and anyone within 10 years of retirement will be hit the hardest. But here's the thing. Those in power know exactly what's coming. They've positioned themselves to profit from this collapse. While you're being told everything is fine, they're moving their wealth offshore, converting to hard assets, and preparing for the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in British history. The question isn't whether this economic apocalypse is coming. It's whether you'll be prepared when it arrives. Most people won't be. They'll wake up one morning to find their savings worthless, their homes unsellable, and their futures destroyed. Don't let that be you. The storm isn't coming, it's already here.